So I will read and annotate The Adopted Son by Guy de Maupassant. The two cottages stood beside each other at the foot of a hill near a little seashore resort. The two peasants labored hard on the unproductive soil to rear their little ones, and each family had four. Before the adjoining doors, a whole troop of urchins played and tumbled about from the morning till night. The two eldest were 6 years old, and the youngest were about 15 months, the marriages, and afterward the births, having taken place nearly simultaneously in both families. The two mothers could hardly distinguish their own offspring among the lot. And as for the fathers, they were altogether at sea. The 8 names danced in their heads, they were always getting them mixed up, and when they wished to call one child, the men often called 3 names before getting the right one. Altogether at sea means they were fishermen. The first of the two cottages, as you came up from the bathing beach, Rollaport, was occupied by the Tuvaches, who had 3 girls and 1 boy, and the other house sheltered the Mallons, who had 1 girl and 3 boys. They all subsisted frugally on soup, potatoes, and fresh air. At 7 o'clock in the morning, then at noon, then at 6 o'clock in the evening, the housewives got their broods together to give them their food. As the gooseherds collect their charges, the children were seated according to age. Before the wooden table varnished by 50 years of use, the mouths of the youngest hardly reaching the level of the table. Before them was placed a bowl filled with bread soaked in the water in which the potatoes had been boiled, half a cabbage and 3 onions, and the whole line ate until their hunger was appeased. The mother herself fed the smallest. A pot a small pot roast on Sunday was a feast for all, and the father on this day sat longer over the meal, repeating, "I wish we could have this every day." One afternoon in the month of August, a phaeton, that's a horse-drawn carriage, stopped suddenly in front of the cottages, and a young woman who was driving the horses said to the gentleman sitting at her side, "Oh, look at those children, Henry. How pretty they are, tumbling about in the dust like that." The man did not answer. Accustomed to these outbursts of admiration, which were a pain and almost a reproach to him, the young woman continued, "I must hug them. Oh, how I should like to have one of them. That one there, the little tiny one." Springing down from the carriage, she ran toward the children, took one of the 2 youngest, a Tuvachi child, and lifting it up in her arms, kissed him passionately on his dirty cheeks and his tousled hair daubed with earth, and on his little hands, with which he fought vigorously to get away from the caresses which displeased him. Then she got into the carriage again, drove off at a lively trot. But she returned the following week, and seating herself on the ground, took the youngest in her arms, stuffed him with cakes, gave candies to all the others, and played with them like a young girl, while the husband waited patiently in the carriage. She returned again, made the acquaintance of the parents, and reappeared every day with her pockets full of dainties and pennies. A dainty would be like a toy or something. Her name was Madame Henri Hubieras. One morning on arriving, her husband alighted with her, and without stopping to talk to the children, who now knew her well, she entered the farmer's cottage. They were busy chopping wood for the fire. They rose to their feet in surprise, brought forward chairs, and waited expectantly. Then the woman, in a broken, trembling voice, began, "My good people, I have come to you to see you because I should like to take your little boy with me." The country people, too bewildered to think, did not answer. She recovered her breath and continued, "We are alone, my husband and I. We would keep it. Are you willing?" Conflict. The peasant woman began to understand. She asked, "You want to take my Charlotte from us?" "Oh, no, indeed." Then Madame de Hubris, Monsieur de Hubris intervened. Intervene would be interrupted. "My wife has now made her meaning clear. She wishes to adopt him, but he will come back to see you. If he turns out well, as there is every reason to expect, he will be our heir. If we perchance should have children, we will share equally with them, but if he should not reward our care, we should give him, when he comes of age, a sum of 20,000 francs, with which be deposited immediately in his name with a lawyer. As we have thought of you also, we should pay you, until your death, a pension of 100 francs a month. Do you understand me?" Francs is a French currency. That's how we know the story set in France, right? A pension is a monthly stipend or like a monthly check income that people get either from a government or from their former employer, or in this case, these wealthy benefactors that want to adopt your child. The woman had arisen, furious. You want me to sell you Charlotte? Oh no, that's not the sort of thing to ask a mother. Oh no, that would be an abomination. Abomination is something horrible. The man, grave and deliberate, said nothing, but approved of what his wife said by continuing nodding of his head. Madame de Hubris, in dismay, sadness, began to weep. Turning to her husband with a voice full of tears, the voice of a child used to having all its wishes gratified, she stammered, "They will not do it, Henry, they will not do it." Then he made a last attempt. "But, my friends, think of the child's future, of his happiness, of—" The peasant woman, however exasperated, cut him short. "It's all considered, it's all understood. Get out of here, and don't let me see you again. The idea of wanting to take away a child like that." Madame de Hubris remembered that there were two children quite little, and she asked through her tears, with the tenacity of a wilful and spoiled woman, "But is the other little one not yours?" Father Tuvache answered, "No, it is our neighbor's. You can go to them if you wish," and he went back into the house, whence resounded the indignant voice of his wife. The Valens were at a table, slowly eating slices of bread, which they parsimoniously spread with a little rancid butter on a plate between the two. And rancid means rotten, and parsimoniously means like very little. Madame Monsieur de Hubris recommenced his proposals, but with more insinuations, more rhetorical precautions, more shrewdness. Insinuations would be like, "He will be able to do this and that, and by the way, did we tell you?" And more oracle, he's making like a show of it. And shrewdness means having great judgment. The two country people shook their heads in sign of refusal, but when they learned that they were to have 100 francs a month, they considered the matter, consulting one another by glances. Much disturbed, they kept silent for a long time, tortured, hesitating. At last the woman asked, "What do you say to it, man?" In a weighty tone he said, "I say that it's not to be despised." Despised would be to hate it, and he doesn't. Madame de Hubers, trembling with anguish, spoke of the future of their child, of this happiness, and of the money with which he could give them later. The peasant asked, "The pension of 1,200 francs, will it be promised before a lawyer?" Mr. de Hubers responded, "Why, certainly, beginning with tomorrow." The woman, who was thinking it over, continued, 100 francs a month is not enough to pay for depriving us of the child. That child would be working in a few years. We must have 120 francs." Tapping her foot with impatience, Madame de Hubers granted it at once, and as she wished to carry off the child with her, she gave 100 francs extra as a present while her husband drew up a paper. And the young woman, radiant, carried off the howling brat as one carries a wished-for knick-knack from a shop. That is not good. The Tuvaches from their door watched her departure, silent, serious, perhaps regretting their refusal. Nothing more was heard of little Jean Valin. The parents went to the lawyer every month to collect their 120 francs. They had quarreled with their neighbors because Mother Tuvache grossly insulted them, continually repeating from door to door that one must be unnatural to sell one's child, that it was horrible, disgusting bribery. Sometimes she would take her Charlotte in her arms, ostentatiously exclaiming as if he understood, "I didn't sell you, I didn't sell you, my little one. I'm not rich, but I don't sell my children." The Valens lived comfortably thanks to the pension that was the cause of the unappeasable fury of the Tuvaches, who had remained miserably poor. Their eldest went away to serve his time in the army. Charlotte alone remained to labor with his old father, to support the mother and two younger sisters. That's a mistake because if we go back up to the top, they were supposed to have three girls and a boy. See, the Valens, wait, who had one girl and three boys. So wait, that would mean One boy and three girls. Two younger sisters. Charlotte's supposed to be the boy. If the eldest went to the army, he would have had to have been a boy. So, Guy de Maupassant made a little mistake. He had reached 21 years of age one morning. A brilliant carriage stopped before the two cottages. A young gentleman with a gold watch chain got out, giving his hand to an aged, white haired lady. The old lady said to him, "Is it there, my child, at the second house?" And he entered the house of the Valens as though at home. The mother was washing her aprons. The infirm, sick father slumbered at the chimney corner. Both raised their heads, and the young man said, "Good morning, papa. Good morning, mamma." They both stood up frightened. In a flutter, the peasant woman dropped her soap into the water and stammered, "Is it you, my child? Is it you, my child?" He took her in his arms and hugged her, repeating, "Good morning, mamma," while the old man, all a tremble, said in his calm tone, which he never lost, "Here you are, back again, John," as if he had just seen him a month ago. When they had got to know one another again, the parents wished to take their boy in the neighborhood and show him. They took him to the mayor, to the deputy, to the curé, and to the schoolmaster. Charlotte, standing on the threshold of his cottage, watched him pass. In the evening, at supper, he told the old people, "You must have been stupid to let the Valens boy be taken." The mother answered obstinately, "I wouldn't sell my child." The father remained silent. The son continued, "It is unfortunate to be sacrificed like that." Then Father Tuvache, in an angry tone, said, "Are you going to reproach us for having kept you?" And the young man said brutally, "Yes, I reproach you for having been such fools. Parents like you make the misfortune of their children. You deserve that I should leave you." The old woman wept over her plate. She moaned as she swallowed the spoonfuls of soup, half of which she spilled. "One may kill oneself to bring up children." Then the boy said roughly, "I'd not have been born than be what I am. I'd rather not have been born than be what I am. When I saw the other, my heart stood still. I said to myself, 'See what I should have been now.'" He got up. "See here, I feel that I would do better not to stay here, because I would throw it up to you from morning till night, and I would make your life miserable. I'll never forgive you for that." The two old people were silent, downcast in tears. He continued, "No, the thought of that would have been too much. I'd rather look for a living somewhere else." He opened the door. A sound of voices came in at the door. The Valens were celebrating the return of their child. You could say this is our irony at the end. It is definitely ironic, an ironic resolution that even though the Valens gave John up for this pension and so he could have this better life, he returns. Whereas the Tuvaches kept their son because they loved him so much and they didn't want to exchange him for money. In the end, it is ironic that they are the ones that lose their son. So the child in the story was angry about his parents' decision. And reproach is used a lot here. That just means to yell at someone or scold someone. So that would be our annotated reading of The Adopted Son.